Welcome to Energy Careers, a segment of the Energy Conversations podcast dedicated to exploring opportunities in the dynamic world of the energy sector. For 13 years, I've had the privilege of navigating this sector, and it has significantly shaped my professional and entrepreneurial journey. Join me as we uncover exciting pathways for those interested in making their mark in this exciting sector. Let's dive in. Welcome to another installment of Energy Careers, a segment of the Energy Conversations podcast, which highlights opportunities for young people looking to participate in the energy sector by following the journeys of seasoned experts in South Africa's energy sector. In today's episode, we are discovering the energy journeys of Professor Sampson Mamphweli and Happy Khambule. If I can start with you, Professor Sampson, please could you share your energy journey? What did you study? How did you get involved in the energy sector? And what has been your career path up until this point?
I have a mixed bag of studies that I've studied. I have a background of environmental science. I have a PhD in physics from the University of Fort Hare. I studied. I was an ESCOM research fellow when I was doing my PhD at the University of Fort Hare, and I continued as their researcher based at the University of Fort Hare for a number of years. I've got more than 19 years experience in the energy sector, conducting research, supervising masters and PhD students in universities. I worked for University of Fort Hare first as a PhD student and there is an ESCOM research fellow, and then I went to Stellenbosch University as director for the Center for Renewable and Sustainable Energy Studies for the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. I supervise students in physics, in chemistry and chemical engineering, and process engineering at the University of Stellenbosch. And then I became a full professor at Stellenbosch University in 2018, where I delivered my inaugural address in chemical engineering.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Prof. Sampson. Happy, if I can hear from you, please could you share your energy journey? How did you get involved in the sector? What did you study? And what has been your career path up until this point?
Sure. It's not 19 years, unfortunately, but soon it will be. I studied law at UJ and LLB. Then I did my postgrad at UCT in legislative drafting and public policy. Thereafter, I then went on a fellowship with the African Young Lawyers Program. And then I started studying politics, economics, and philosophy with UNISA. I'm about to finish, and I'm still figuring out if I'm going to be doing anything else after that. But it sounds like a PhD under the professor would be a good one, or a master's under the professor would be a good one. My journey in terms of career, I started off at a think tank in Cape Town right after my LLB, as I was doing my fellowship at UCT, then joined an organization in Cape Town, environmental organization, largely focused on, it's an energy environment organization. It was focused largely on integrated resource planning around 2010, and then worked there for quite some time. I then joined Greenpeace Africa as a senior political advisor on the public policy side, looking not only at South Africa, but the continent. Then I moved on to a Greenpeace task team, which is a task force on international politics and climate change. So I've been straddling between climate and energy issues all around my career. And then thereafter, I then joined BUSA as the director of environment and energy policy.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Some really great experience that you both have. And I like the idea of you doing your PhD with Prof. Sampson. This would be a very beautiful, beautiful story. So please do come back and tell us whether or not you've decided to do your PhD. And Prof. Sampson, please come back and tell us that you have happily agreed to assist Happy in this process. And I think what you've also highlighted, is the importance of geopolitics when we then do think of and look at this and look at the energy sector. So a really nice blend and a mix of skills. In closing off, I'd like to hear from both of you, maybe starting with you, Prof. Sampson. What advice would you give a young person or anybody looking to make a career in the energy sector?
I would say that the energy sector is an exciting sector. There's quite a lot of opportunities in the energy sector, and there's a lot of skills shortages. So if young people want, especially with artisans, technicians, and technologists, and that is one of the issues that we had at ESCOM. So I would advise them to basically look at the energy sector in a positive kind of a manner. Take the bull by the horn. Do the best that they can do. The rest will basically fall in place and come along. Yeah, and like I indicated, we really need, even though the biggest skills shortage is on the artisans, technicians, and technologists, we still also need masters and PhDs that need to study, and it's a wide range of areas. You talk about legal, like Happy has started. There are opportunities. You talk about administration, there are opportunities. You talk about policy, there are opportunities. You talk about engineering, there are opportunities. Even science, there are opportunities. Environmental side of things, there are opportunities. So the energy space is not what people normally project it as it is. Because in most cases, when you start talking about energy, things that come to mind is Eskom, Sasol, and those big companies that are engineering based. And people start to think about engineering, and then they don't think about the other aspects that are very, very, very critical of energy. I mean, in my line of duty, I interact with lawyers and administrators and all sorts of people with humanities as well, on a daily basis, because all those are quite important. So energy is not about being an electrician or being an electrical engineer or understanding the chemistry behind the energy systems as well. So I would encourage them to look at it from that broad point of view, and then locate themselves within the particular niche area that they will be very much interested in. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And also highlighting the fact that it doesn't, it's not necessarily limited to STEM. I mean, like Happy, my background is as a lawyer myself. What I'm also realizing is that no matter what, you cannot keep the lawyers out of any sector. So we will find a space for ourselves. But I think what's also important, what you're highlighting, and especially with the number of young people that perhaps don't get the opportunity to study further or go to a university, I think it's important to really highlight the fact that there are opportunities to participate in the energy sector without a degree. And I'm quite excited that, in the youth segment that will be coming out of the Energy Conversations podcast, these are some of the things that we will be discussing. What are the opportunities as a young person? You don't necessarily have a degree, but where can you go? Because I think what we can all agree with is that the sector has a lot of entry points. It's just about knowing how to get into them. I'm happy if I can close off with you. What advice would you give a young person or anyone looking to make a career in the energy sector?
I think the advice which I'll build on from what the Prof has indicated is that the energy sector is much wider than we generally conceive. And there is gaps almost everywhere, and there's a lack of, I would say, innovation in terms of the final products that people are using, the kinds of processes people are using. I mean, there's innovation that can be done not only from the end user side, but we've seen innovation with traders on the medium tier, at least of customers and producers on the one end. There's basically an open blackboard essentially of people being able to find a niche. And the mere fact that we're also going through this transition phase means that the opportunities are also going to be increasing. You're not only going through a utility transition as a sector, you're also going through a just transition as an industry and a sector, but you're also moving into new technologies that might not be necessarily within the energy space, but adjacent to the energy space. So there's multitude of opportunities, and the best thing to do is to just get involved, find your niche, or what excites you, and then keep going on that. I mean, I would have never said, at least honestly, as a lawyer, I would never thought that there would ever be a thing called a climate change law in my lifetime, even though while I was working, while I was studying, that was what I was really passionate about. When I had to do my articles, one of the things that didn't end up having me to do my articles was that you're too passionate about this environmental thing. Why don't you go join an environmental organization or an international organization? You're not fit for purpose for that particular role. But because I was already engaged, it was kind of easy to pivot. So I think the best thing to do is, with the skill set that the person has, just get involved, find your niche, and the rest will fall, as the prof said.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both for sharing of your journeys. And we hope that just by our young people listening to this journey, they can find themselves somewhere in the sector and realize more than anything that their space, start from wherever you're at. Just start, and you don't necessarily need to be an engineer or you need to have a STEM background. There's a lot of involvement and a lot of participation that's possible. And yes, it's a very growing sector, so the opportunities are abundant, and it's better to get involved sooner rather than later. And with that brings us to the end of this installment of Energy Careers. Thank you to our guests for sharing. Join us next time as we explore more energy journeys on Energy Careers, a segment of the Energy Conversations podcast. Until next time, see you soon.
Thank you for tuning into Energy Careers, where we explore the endless possibilities in the energy sector. Don't miss out on future episodes where we'll feature more inspiring journeys and insights on how to embark on your own energy career path. Subscribe now to the Energy Conversations podcast and unlock the door to exciting opportunities in the dynamic world of energy. Your journey begins here.